Ko Ngāti Parau, me tūwhare tō ku iwi, ko tā kuira, rau ko tā waiterangi o ku ngākau. Tēnā rā koutou katoa. This is my nanny, tā waiterangi, the matriarch of the te rangi whānau and the love of our lives. She raised me since I was 12 years old, along with my cousins and her many children, in the same whare in Ascot Park, Porirua, for 45 years. This is my nanny, in her puha patch. Except it's not hers, it's the neighbours'. But they didn't mind. My nanny wears the moko kauai. She received this in the 1970s when racism was rife and loud. Who are you to wear the moko kauai, people said. You've ruined your looks. They didn't know that she stood in te ao Māori as easily as most people breathe. And so, to wear the moko kauai as a reflection of her lineage, her whakapapa, came normally to her. And how could they know that moko kānohi for men, moko kauai for women, tā moko for anyone with Māori whakapapa is just how we reflect that. It sits under our skin. The tattoo gun or the uhi just reveal it. This is the way I love to remember my nanny. Playful, joyous, always up for mischief. The amount of stories she would tell us about her youth, We used to say that we stand on the shoulders of a poto, curly-headed lady with a quick wit and a dirty mind. Sadly, in August 2017, my nanny died. She died from pneumonia. I'll never forget that day. I get a phone call from my aunt. Hīria, come quick. I'm in the ambulance with Nan. We're going to the hospital. I got there, 5 minutes after them, and the doctors had already done x-rays on her chest. One side was full of pneumonia. The other half was full too. Her kidneys had stopped working, and her heart was under severe duress. The doctors and nurses prepared us for her death. A week after her tangihana, her funeral, we went back home to that house that had nurtured us for so long, and we cleaned. It's a state home, and it was going to be passed to another family to be taken care of. But in my grief and in my anger, I measured the temperature in her room overnight. Internally, it was between 9 and 11 degrees inside her room. Externally, it was about 9 degrees. The World Health Organization recommendations for healthy homes for the elderly is 21 degrees. And in my shame, I had already almost fixed the problem. Myself, Amber Craig, and Brenda Wallace had created Whare Hauora, a charity. We're nerds at heart. We knew the problem, and so we created sensors that measure temperature and humidity every 10 minutes, pushes that data to your dashboard and tells you if your room is making you sick. But I wasn't quick enough. That first prototype, it was still a health hazard, and so I didn't install it in my nan's room. Because we know that respiratory illness accounts for 700,000 people every year, and 1,600 people every winter die from it. We know the statistics, we know the research, and yet we don't know how big this problem is in Aotearoa. It is thought that a third of all homes have temperatures lower or equal to 16 degrees. We think it's more like 80 to 90%. Why? Because up until recently, our building regulations stated that a home only has to hold 16 degrees. And did you know that mould grows at temperatures of 16 degrees or less and humidity of 60% or up? That means that even new builds probably have a mould problem. This is our first prototype. Parts from AliExpress cost us $30 and burnt my fingers a lot. We built this in our kitchen tables, in our garages, and to be honest, I wasn't very good at it. This was the start, the first prototype to tell us whether or not our idea of understanding what happens in a room can actually be spun out to large communities, easily, quickly, cheaply. We went and found funding a year later and created this. We went to a manufacturer in Auckland and they helped us to make everything smaller, make it faster, have it half built in a factory. But as a prototype, it was too expensive, $580, which isn't bad for a prototype, but it's not the kind of money most whānau have. And so we did a pledge me, and the people of Aotearoa bought 206 kits. We raised $40,000. But we knew even then it wasn't fast enough, it wasn't cheap enough. We couldn't scale as quickly as we needed. And so I took some of that money and I went to Shenzhen, China, and created this. Such a small thing. And it's not even that I created this. I went to a large manufacturer in China and I said, "Can I put my firmware in your hardware?" Cheeky. You'd never see this in other countries. And they said yes. After they did some due diligence to make sure we weren't just a bunch of crazy ladies, they let us have access. And so now, these kits, you can buy them for $186. We can churn out 10,000 kits every 2 months. That's the power of being cheeky. And this is how it works. You put a sensor in each room. The sensors take data samples every 10 minutes for temperature and humidity, pushes that data to the gateway pushes it to the cloud, and then it's displayed in the dashboard. The dashboard can be accessed by any type of device, and you see it like this. Now, if we think about babies and putting them in nurseries or their room, what you would do is you put baby to bed at 8 o'clock. The temperature is 21 degrees, which is perfectly fine. Everybody goes to bed at 10:30, turns off the heaters. At 11 o'clock, you get a notification. Baby's room is too cold. Please add heat or move her to the next warmest room. Simple, isn't it? To know what's going on, to be able to make an informed decision. This is what everyone should have. But to be honest, we'd prefer if we didn't have to exist at all. If you can imagine, if we have 1.5 million homes in Aotearoa, and we have sensor kits in every home, that's a lot of data, and that's a lot of personal data. And so we must be very clear about why we exist and what our principles are. He whānau. We exist for the people, for the resident, for the family. Our whys are based on Professor Mason Jury's He Whare Tapawhā. And in our system, we are able to tell you, tinana, what is your respiratory health? We count mould hours simply because we know when mould grows and how long your room has been in that state. Pretty simple, isn't it? We also give reporting on hinengaro, your mental health. Did you know that a cold, damp home can make you more susceptible to anxiety and depression? In winter, we spend 90% of our time in our homes. Haven't you ever wondered why you get so grumpy when you're so cold? He pūtea. Money, your financial health. We know what the temperatures are externally. We know what the temperature is internally. Therefore, we know how much money you're spending on heating or not. Shouldn't we be using that information to connect you to people that can help you to pay that? Or maybe it's because you don't have a heating source. He kāinga. If we know how much mould is growing in a home, but you can't find it, maybe that means that the mould is growing in your soft furnishings, like your pillows, your mattresses, your carpet, or even in between the walls. And with a strong gust of wind, it pushes the spores from internally to external into your room. Haven't you ever wondered why you can smell mould, but you can't find it? That might be why. And here are our po. We start with Kaitiakitanga because we must protect and nurture this information, this data, this personal information, because we can tell if you went to the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning. No one should know that except you. And in order to do that, that means that you own the data. We don't. We will take care of, we will manage, we will advise, we will inform and support, but we do not own, therefore we cannot sell. That also means that we cannot put technology into our system that could be detrimental to you, the whānau. That means no carbon dioxide sensors, because with that information, you can count how many people are in a room at any time, including 1 o'clock in the morning. So for a tenancy agreement with an overcrowding clause, that may mean that your landlord can tell that during Christmas time you had 2 more people in your home than you should have. But that's what Christmas is about, isn't it? Tēnō rangatiratanga. The ability to hold space for the whānau so they can make an informed decision. You can't do that if we are owned by someone. You can't do that if we have taken commercial investment and they want to make 10 times the amount that they've put in. And so we don't, effectively. We only take investment from organisations or from the people, because shouldn't we be owned by the people? Without tēnō rangatiratanga, you really can't do kaitiakitanga properly. Te rāranga, the interweaving of the family back into the community. Because in this day and age of nuclear families with only 2 sets of shoulders or just one, the stresses mount and they are high. We need to spread them back out. And so we connect families back to community organisations that can help them with things like insulation, installations, learning how to make a draft stopper, basic things like this, because life is hard enough. Utu. Most people think of this word as revenge or money, and it's true, but it also means compensation. We will end up selling aggregated non-personal data to health organisations and housing organisations. Someone will ask us, Hīria, can you give us a prioritised list of suburbs in Auckland prioritised by respiratory illness or probability of it? And we will do it because it's best for the community and we will be paid for it. But it also means that we'll take 50% of that profit and push it back into the whānau that we're a part of the data set, because that's what compensation, utu, is. And from there, they can decide, I can either keep that money or I can put it back into the kete so that it can come together and help other families have kits too. Whare hauora, built from love, powered by grief. We stand as an act of defiance in this world where money is valued far more than people. There are no repercussions sometimes in the decisions that we make. But in Te Ao Māori, when on the day that you die, your people come to collect you, to take you home to Hawaii ki nui, Hawaii ki roa, Hawaii ki pāmamao. And the day that I die, and my nanny comes to get me, she won't be asking how much money I made, how many kits I sold, or how much my shares cost. She will ask me, how many pepe and tamarikima did I keep out of hospital? How many nene and papa did I give more time to? How many whānau did I keep together? And I say to you, with your futures laid out ahead of you, when your people come to get you on your last day, what are they going to ask you? And what are you going to say? Nō reira, tēnā rā koutou, tēnā rā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa.